Hello, my name is Mayumi Kako. I own a very small school near Nagoya. And data I used for my presentation today is from my action research in our graduate school, where I completed my an MA in TESOL. And my presentation title is Fostering Interactional Competence, a study of Japanese junior high school students in an after-school context. Okay, let's get started off with some educational background. And you may know that term Juken Eigo is examination-driven teaching and learning in Japan. In that context, learners are sensitive about the scores and exclude the classmates from being learning partners. Whereas social phenomena where students strive to obtain information through social interactions, such as social networks, Murphy 2017, by sharing information and exploring the topic with comments and questions. So there's always communication there. Then why not in L2 classrooms? Well, roughly, let me explain about communicative competence and also interactional competence. CLT, communicative language teaching, aims at developing learners' communicative competence through communication, according to Savignon 2002. And as you see the inverted pyramid on the left side, there is a component of communicative competence. There are 4 components, and one is grammatical competence, discourse competence, and social cultural competence, and also strategic competence. And help is can be communication strategies to improve the strategic competence, and also for improving overall communicative competence. Help also can be focus on form instruction. And originally focus on form coined by Long 1988, representing noticing between input and intake, because there's no such form meaning integration in the traditional method. And then Ellis 2016 and Lin Van Patten 2003 expanded the approach to instruction, including output, such as assessment, arguing the instruction should be along with a learner's internal syllabus, and meaning-bearing comprehensible input is inevitable, respectively. On the other hand, communicative competence focused on individuals' static ability is problematic when considering the interactive nature of conversations. Then, interactional competence, coined by Kramers in 1986. According to Young 2019, interactional competence is not about what one person knows. It is about what a participant in a discursive practice does together with others. Well, there are so many things I want to talk about interactional competence, but due to the time constraint today, let me focus on the evaluation and the table of comparison of communicative competence and interactional competence. While communicative competence is focused on the appropriacy, interactional competence more focused on close attention to each other. Then research question. How do Japanese junior high school students in a small language school in Japan reach their mutual understanding and engagement in the communicative tasks? Method. Teaching context, level junior high school, and class size minimum 4. 2 boys and 2 girls. And time 90 minutes a week, and textbook basically none but I used a worksheet that I made along with the grammar content of New Horizon textbooks that the 4 participants used at school. And duration, though the class size is minimal, duration is long, 3 academic years from September 2022 to November 2024. And as you see the table up there, there is a proficiency gap among the 4 participants. When they were third year of junior high school, they were asked to take the ACAN third grade test, which is equivalent to CFR A1, means the test is not very, very difficult for them, but only 2 of them passed and the other 2 failed. And let me focus on one of the 2 lower proficiency student, Sunda, for this presentation. At the moment, Shunta was very special, but went always at his own pace, and which irritated the other classmates. And here are examples of focus on form instruction and communication strategies from my first research year, 2022. Focus on form instruction. For example, if the focus grammar item for the week is past tense, the students were asked to create their own sentences like, I went to England. And communication strategies were introduced one by one, which included opener, closer, the greeting sequences, and the shadowing is partial repetition or repeating the keywords. For example, I went to England. England? And the response can be, yeah, aha, and rejoinders like assessments such as, that's great. And clarification request, for example, pardon and excuse me. And also I add one more communication strategy of fillers, which are a strategy to save time to think. And once older communication strategies are introduced, I use a communication strategy check sheet, as you can see in the back, a yellow one. And students were asked to fill out this check sheet to see which communication strategies they used in a paired conversation before they changed a partner. And also I put model conversation, as you see the blue one in front, which is roughly structured. And here is a research design map that I used for my last year of research, 2024. And you can see quant and qual represented quantitative research method and qualitative research method respectively. So I used a mixed research method. And then results. The participants' first speaking test in fall 2022 tend to be their own speeches in which they really cared what their partner said. Then intervention. First of all, I stopped using model dialogue, and then I just put greeting sequences, as you see the one on the right side. So, hi, student's name. It's cold. It is. That's right. And then they moved on to the main part of the conversation following the discourse marker, by the way, and started with a basic expression, as I mentioned, for example, I went to England. And then asked to keep the conversation going with communication strategies like England? Yeah, wow, that's great. And then asked to wrap up the conversation with another discourse marker anyway. And for example, take care, you too. Also mention Murphy 1994. Rather than using the complete sentences, students were encouraged to use keep the conversation going with praises. For example, do you like ice cream? Yes, rather than yes, I do. And for example, especially Pinot, rather than I like Pinot very much. And what else? Also, I tried prosodic rejoinders, or in CA conversation analysis, they are also called response tokens. You can see the non-linguistic simple expression around the figure or uh, like so they are the simplest expressions, but only with arrangement of the tone of the voice. They can be used in a wider variety of context, like uh, as a filler, and for rejoinders. Oh, oh, ah, ah, like. And noted here is once students learn to say a particular communication strategies, for example, that's nice, they tend to keep using it about whatever the topic is. For example, I went to England. Oh, that's nice. It's okay. But if you say, yesterday my pet passed away, but still they tend to say that's nice. So it's actually not nice. And also, I try to use imaginary dialogue. At the end of the lesson, they were asked to write an easy essay. And for the in-house assessment, which I conducted when their school tests were coming, and so they were asked to expand it for their test use. And also they're asked to add communication strategies as used in the right side in the final writing sheet. And this student wrote, for example, I'm interested in Rikubetsu town. And then she asked about her own essay statement, where is Rikubetsu town? And the comment in blue, by the way, is mine and given after the test finished. And also, the assessment is both speaking and writing and about the same topic. And also, in my second year of research, 2023, I conducted a survey with questions included, what do you think about the way you learn supporting each other in the classroom? And all of the participants answered very positively. For example, Haru, a higher professor's student, answered, it is not only explanation, so it's fun and also helps my smooth understanding. And Shunta, a lower professor's student and focus student for today, it's good because we all enhance each other. And Toya, also a higher professor's student, he answered, it's an important thing because we really have a chance to learn and support each other at school. Following this result, I drastically changed my rubrics of the speaking test, along with interactional competence, readability, Lem et al. 2023, and based on a recipient design when 2011. Encourage the students to support their partners by non-verbal behavior such as gaze and gestures, as you see in the first category, supportive body language, and by careful listening and expanding their sequences with communication strategies, as you see in the second category, supportive listening, which has the highest rating, and by manage their own topic, as you see in the third one, interactional management. And lastly, the category is about accuracy, which has a least rating. And let me share 3 excerpts of conversation of Shunta's. And the first one is with a lower professor student Miko about Sugakia. And if it's not familiar to you, Sugakia is a popular Chinese restaurant chain in and around Nagoya. Okay, so let me play the video.
Yeah. Slovakia good ramen is very cheap. I think Slovakia good ramen is very cheap. Yeah, cheap. Yasui.
So they reach mutual understanding in the end, thanks to Miko's communication strategies, as you see in line 33. Pardon is clarification request, or in CA, conversation analysis, is also called open class initiator. And in line 36, G is partial shadowing, or it's also called candidate understanding in CA. And also in line 38, what's cheap is a follow-up question, or double H in the lower div in CA. And the second one is with Haru, higher professor student, about planets. And Haru wonders about Shunta's statement, I wish I could go to the sun.
Yeah. I like us. Us is this guy.
Yeah. First, Haru asks, why do you want to go to the sun? But Shunta hesitates to answer and just says, I don't know. But Haru doesn't give up, and then rearranged the question in line 64. What planet do you like the best? And following the Shunta's silence after that, Haru rearranged it to the simplest best planet. And then Shunta this time answers, I like Earth. And then once again in line 70, Haru once again tries why question. And this time Shunta actively and humorously answers, Asu is this planet. And noted here is the way of holding the floor. Haru mainly uses on, as you see in line 58 and 64, whereas Shunta um, uses vowel marking, as you see in the line 71, vowel marking, Carol 2005. And according to Shegelov 1979, it's for word search or forward-oriented repair. And please take a look at the excerpt 3 in line 50, 25 and 26. Shunta, that's the conversation with Toya about the graded reader. Shunta chose, and Shunta says, because people knows about 40 years ago is very interesting. Not very interesting. Good, because it's the end of term construction unit. So he doesn't have to hold the floor. Then discussion and conclusion. Okay, back to research question. How do Japanese junior high school students in a small language school in Japan reach their mutual understanding and engagement in the communicative tasks? The excerpts indicate that the participants became responsible interactors through the learner discussion practices, where they perceive other participants doing and thinking, which is intersubjectivity, an essential component of interactional competence, according to Young 2019. And also, according to Shegelov 1992, displaying mutual understanding and problems theory is one running basis for the cultivation and grounding of intersubjectivity. In fact, unlike moral dialogues, real-time conversations are filled with new encounters where troubles in understanding of the talk are likely to happen. Miko and Haru's experience demonstrates that while oriented to repair is somewhat visibly frustrating, it's rewarded by increased engagement, as you've seen in Shunta's active participation. And also, according to Hellman 2011, interactional competence develops as part of language development in a classroom community of practice. Their interaction illustrates the importance of repair practices seen in adaptive questioning. Questioning in this case is not only questions, uh, rather, um, rather other initiated repair initiators, such as I mentioned, open class initiator, and cheap, candidate understanding, and what's cheap, double H interrogative. And also, Shunta's vowel marking, which is self-initiated self-repair. Um, they all first seems like communication failures, but actually it's significant in fostering mutual understanding and topic exploration. In conclusion, the aha moment is born from the huh moment. That is, repair practices serve as learning opportunities for deeper mutual understanding. Of course, there's a limitation, specifically about the class size, very minimal. And also, this studies about the students in particular country, Japan, but still, L2 learners' difficulties and beliefs are somewhat common. So I do hope this small but longitudinal research can be a help for your teaching learning journey. Thank you very much.